Please, as you join, press your share button so that others can join us. Today we're going to look at a very interesting story, the story of Nkechi. Yeah, who is joining me this evening? Hello. Hi, Sister Diola, good evening. How are you? So we're going to, just press your share button so more people can come on. We're going to briefly look at this story that happened last week. Bami Bola, Salami, you're welcome. Rebecca, Karin. As you join, please help me to press your share button so more people can come along, because we really need to look at what happened to Nkechi. You know, this story has been on for about a week now. We want to look at what truly happened, even though it's a very short story. Nothing so much has not been written yet about Nkechi's death, but I want us to look at what actually happened to Nkechi and how and why she lost her life in this situation. Rosette Maxwell, you're welcome. So as you come on, press your share button so your friends can join us. So today we're looking at this Ebonyi man, Mr. Samuel Chidi is his name. That was what they called him. It was said that he's a graduate. He lives from Ebonyi State, and he lives in Ebonyi in Abakaliki. So this story about him and how he forced his wife to give birth at home, and how Nkechi bled to death, was something that really got to me when I saw that story. That's about a week now or so, that this thing came out, and I felt it's something that we need to look into, because yes, it's out there in the open, but many people may be like Mr. Samuel and Nkechi today, and they're managing their situation, and maybe in another week we may hear this kind of horror stories again. So what actually happened here, according to the story that I saw on social media, because I tried to do a bit of research and I didn't really see so much about this couple. This man, he was introduced as a graduate, because when I read the story, I was really surprised that someone who has gone to university would allow this kind of thing to be his situation. It was said that he's a graduate of law from Ebonyi State University. His age wasn't revealed, and not much was written about the wife Nkechi. So according to social media, the story that was shared, it said that this man, Mr. Samuel Chidi, watched his wife, who had previously delivered twice through cesarean section, battle with labor pains in their room and bled to death. Now, I want to say something quickly about cesarean section and how people see cesarean section in Nigeria. I'm a woman, and I get to have a lot of conversations with women, about C-section. And it will surprise you that a lot of Nigerian women think that having a C-section is almost like is a sin. You're not a woman of faith when you allow yourself to have a C-section. So I try to, think about this couple, that do they fall into this category? But I don't think so. I don't think that was their situation here. But I just want to briefly, discuss this, because a lot of people still have this issue in Nigeria, both the males and the female. In fact, I had an this what even happened when I had my first son in the hospital where I gave birth to him. There was a lady there who was told she had been in labor for about 3 days, and the labor wasn't making much progress. And by that day, I had already put to bed, and it was being discussed that they had to schedule her for a C-section. And behold, the husband disappeared. The man took off. Everyone was looking for this man. They didn't find him, because if you're to be scheduled for C-section, there has to be some arrangements for blood and other things and fees, that deposit that had to be made. And it was surprising that it was a matron in that hospital that decided to pay the deposits for this woman to be able to be wheeled into the theater for her C-section. So this is just for you to have an idea of the Nigerian, how Nigerians perceive a cesarean section, that my wife is going to have a C-section. For a lot of people, is the fear of the money that will be paid. For so many people, it's just this religious mindset that the woman, you're not delivering like the Hebrew woman, because I don't know where we got this idea that the Hebrew women were all having natural births, that they didn't have any cesarean birth in their time, so it's a problem in Nigeria. So for this woman, what's her name, Nkechi Samuel Chidi's wife, she had 2 deliveries like this for cesarean section. And this third one, the man swore to his ancestors that she wasn't going to go back there. Only God knows, because the details of this issue is yet to be revealed. Further conversation or discussion around this. So now, if you're in the category of Mr. Samuel, who has a problem which wasn't stated, it wasn't stated that the man didn't have the money, but from the story, I would also see him as one who maybe was financially challenged, because looking at the decisions that he took and how he allowed this wife of his to die in his own hands, in his own home, speaks a lot about him. So to such men, or to such women or couples, I don't know, if you have a challenge, because truly it's not in the power of a woman to decide how her baby is going to come, whether it's going to be natural or whether it's going to be a C-section. It's a doctor that would tell you, depending on the situation, depending on the presentation of that pregnancy. So a lot of people just need to have this thing, understand better that having a C-section does not mean that a woman is weak, and having a natural birth does not mean that you're stronger. I had natural birth, but I tell you, if I'm going to have any baby again in this life, which I am not praying for, I don't expect to have that, I will never go for a natural birth. I don't even know why women want to go through that, such horror. I don't understand. So if you don't want to have a C-section, if you don't want to have a baby, don't sleep together, don't make love, because when you're sleeping with a woman, it's likely she's going to get pregnant. And if you're going to have a baby, you better have your money in your pockets for anything that comes out of it. So this is not an excuse, and Samuel Chidi's situation cannot be excused in this situation. So this was what happened. So it says that he had watched his wife, who had previously delivered twice through cesarean section, battle with labor pains in their room and bled to death. This is so shocking. I was in pain when I read this, A woman having to endure the pain of pregnancy from month 1 to month 9. And then on the day of her delivery, that's the day she gets to end her life, or someone gets to end it for her, or she ended it herself. Because, as we continue this conversation, or discussion, we would be able to see who actually ended whose life here. Unfortunately, Nkechi is not here today to narrate her side of the story or give her own account of her experience with Mr. Chidi. But reading her story or reading their story, I could tell a lot about this couple, even though so much has not been said concerning them. So now Chidi could have easily, the story continues. It says Chidi could have easily contacted a nurse who was also living in the same compound, but instead he left the poor woman locked up in the room with a patent medicine dealer who, to make matters worse, administered improper injections, dragged out the baby to the ground, while the husband pinned her legs down, collected the blood, the baby's placenta, and hid in his room, while leaving the agonizing mother to bleed till death. Our source alleged. I don't know where this kind of things happen. This kind of things, I don't know. It can only happen in, this is so terrible. I just could not believe. I thought this was just a movie, but truly this happened to someone, a human being like you and I. And this woman is gone today like a chicken. Now look at this. See now, Chidi's from the story, Chidi has a nurse that lives in his compound. Mr. Chidi refused to contact her, and by the time we continue with the story, you will see that this same nurse had been checking upon this woman prior to this time. Mr. Chidi refused to contact the nurse and decided to go for a patent medicine dealer who we don't even know if she's licensed to practice. This is how this woman injected her with the a wrong improper injection and dragged out her baby. Only God knows the kind of trauma this woman would have gone through, before she eventually gave up in the hands of this terrible man. Because as I read this thing, I don't even know if to say that this man is heartless or sick. He has to be one of the two, because looking at this story, it is more than poverty. From what I can see here, this is just more than poverty, because one would say maybe the man did not have money to take the wife for another C-section, because apparently this woman has been given birth by C-section and he knows that she's going to have another C-section. Because usually when a woman starts delivering by C-section, she's had to by cesarean section. So, well, he's assuming in his little mind. And it appears that this woman didn't go for proper medical care throughout her pregnancy, because as we go on, we will see why I came to that conclusion or assumption, as the case may be. Because like I said, Nkechi is not here to say her, tell her story. Only God knows what was going on in the life of this young poor lady, who has unfortunately lost her life to this man who has no value or regard for her. But I want to talk a bit about this Mr. Chidi. Look at his actions here. I read again. It says he left this poor woman, he locked her up in the room. So now this is action one. This man, you can begin to imagine the kind of man he is. Ife Nwogwa, you're welcome. Thanks for joining. You can begin to imagine the kind of man he is. He locks her up in the room. We don't know how many times this woman has been locked up. When I saw this thing, it speaks volumes. It spoke a lot about the man. It means that this guy has been abusing this woman. For him to have the heart, maybe the woman had complained, maybe she was trying to resist the act, and he locked her in his room and brought this quack, this medicine dealer, who started what, I don't know, they didn't describe whether it's a woman or a man. I want to believe maybe a woman, started playing games with his wife, pulling out this baby. And it says that the next thing, talking about this man, why I think that this man, why I call him, categorize him as either a heartless person or a sick man. He has to be one of these two. See the next action this man did. He said the husband pinned her legs down, collected the blood, the baby's placenta. Okay, yes, it was the pattern medical doctor. So he was helping the woman to, whoever this medicine dealer is, to finish her job. He held her there. So this man held this woman, and after they did this horrible thing to her, they collected her blood, the baby's placenta, and hid in his room. So it's like this. It's either that this man just wanted this woman to die, or he planned for her to die, or he arranged for her to die. It just has to be one of these three, or he's just a lunatic. He's a sick man. So this woman has been living with a man who is either not well, or I don't know what to call him, or just heartless. He pinned her legs down and hid all this thing in his room while leaving this agonizing mother to bleed till death. So this man, according to this story, killed Nkechi. But let's continue. Now, from this paragraph that I read now, you can see that Nkechi has suffered so much abuse in the hands of this man. And I want to ask Nkechis that will be watching this video after today, or even as this video is on, how many Nkechis are going through living with this kind of men in their homes today that would give them this kind of treatment, and they just continue to believe that it's going to change? But look at Nkechi now. Nkechi is not here to speak for herself. She's gone to be with her maker. And we have a lot of Nkechis in Nigeria today covering this kind of horrible situation instead of throwing up these cases, because these people might just need attention from a doctor. Obviously, Mr. Samuel needed some medical check, from what I can see that he did. Now, let's continue. Why I tell you that I believe that Mr. Samuel is not very well. He's probably a patient, a sick person. Now, look at what happened. So it was gathered that the incident occurred around 11 p.m. This happened in his home, and Chidi did not inform anyone in the compound or any member of the deceased family. This is just terrible. This is just too terrible. See, this woman had died, and he didn't think he needed to talk to anyone in his compound. He didn't think he needed to inform any member of her family until afternoon of the following day, when a neighbor, a nurse who came to check on Mrs. Nkechi, the late woman, learned of the incident. So Mr. Chidi did not even plan to talk about this. He just wanted to keep this story to himself. He didn't inform his neighbors. He didn't inform the nurse who had been checking on her. He didn't inform the parents of the deceased. He just kept this story. So this man, I think he kept, I don't know, what did he want to do with the cops? Victor, you're welcome. Thanks for joining. So now, when it was until the nurse came to check on this lady, because she had been checking on her prior to this time. When this nurse came, she was now the one that insisted that Nkechi's corpse be taken to the morgue for proper attention, and the baby be taken to the intensive care. So Mr. Chidi killed his wife, didn't think he needed to do anything about her corpse, still kept it in his house, left this baby in his room, in his house, didn't even know that he needed to get this baby to be checked by a doctor or by the hospital. I just cannot understand this. And it says that Mr. Samuel is a graduate of law. This man went to school. This is not an illiterate person. He went to school. And he had to take a neighbor to come to him to tell him what to do about the corpse in his house. This is just so terrible, you know. And the reason I'm making this video, because I know that a lot of women are in the shoes of Nkechi today. Maybe still alive, maybe lost their lives like Nkechi. And I said in my post that who killed Nkechi? Was it Mr. Chidi or Nkechi? If you ask me, according to the story, Mr. Chidi killed Nkechi. But if you ask me, I think otherwise. I don't think Mr. Chidi killed Nkechi. I think that Nkechi killed herself. Ask me why, because I'm going to share that with us as we go on in this story. Now, look at what this man did. After keeping the corpse in his home, the nurse insisted and he decided to take the corpse out to the morgue. Then that was when he decided to inform the family of the deceased. And of course, those ones, it's like they are also as crazy as Mr. Chidi. They carried the corpse back to his house, dropped it there for him, and told him, whatever you want to do with this corpse, just go ahead and enjoy it. Do whatever you want with it. Until the police, came on the scene and they've taken the man. And I tell you, this is Nigeria. I live in Nigeria. The police is not going to do anything to that man. This man is going scot-free. Nothing is going to happen to him. Worst case scenario, the man would just call himself anything. Bad enough, he's a lawyer. Graduate of law. I don't know if he practices his law. He's going to find a way to defend himself. And if he can't find anything to say, he will just tell them that he's mad. Because I think this guy, something is not, in place. But what do I have to say to Nkechi? Nkechi, I'm really sorry that you're gone today, but I feel so bad. Because this keeps happening every time. And our ladies, our women who are in situations like this have never learned a lesson from this kind of stories. Every day we hear these stories, in various ways, and people keep on allowing this story to be told of them. Why am I unhappy with Nkechi? Unfortunately, she's gone now. One, obviously, Nkechi is dependent on this man. Now you're married to Mr. Chidi. It appears that Chidi is unable to take care of you and your children. You've had to with the C-section. For this man to go past the nurse in his compound, at least, even if that one is not going to be from a hospital where he can get, hospital facility and everything. He had a nurse in his compound who was doing these checks on him. This man didn't even think he needed to consult that nurse to do this work for him. He went for a roadside patent medicine dealer. So it tells me that Mr. Chidi is either, not financially buoyant. He's not buoyant enough to take care of Nkechi, or he doesn't just want to spend his money on her anymore. But my issue goes back to Nkechi. Nkechi, now, sorry, you're gone, like I said, but you know that you're married to this kind of man. Why keep on having babies for such a horrible man? Now look at the situation, look at the treatment, look at what happened to you. Talking about the labor, Nkechi went into labor, and I was asking, labor is not something that comes upon you like, instantly. Labor takes some hours. Nkechi knows when she started having labor pains and those indications. I don't understand why Nkechi would have to wait for her husband to go and find a roadside person to come to her aid or whatever, to give her this kind of treatment, and the man is locking her up. If Nkechi knows that she's living with this kind of person, why would Nkechi, allow herself to die? Because if you ask me, I think Nkechi killed herself, not this man. You just allow this man to kill you, but you actually did kill yourself. Nkechi should have taken herself to the hospital. There are health centers in Nigeria where people are giving birth at minimal, free or minimal charges. Why didn't Nkechi take herself to one of these birthing centers or health centers to help her? Now, to many Nkechis that will be watching this video, this is a lesson to all of us women. You cannot put your life in the hand of a man, and what's of a type of Mr. Chidi, who I think needs to be checked by a doctor. If you know you're married to a man who is abusing you, one or two things has to happen. Either you want to manage the situation, but you just have to make yourself independent. Because from this story, I see that Nkechi was totally dependent on this man. That's the reason why she was loyal unto death. Her loyalty cost her her life. Nkechi does not have any resources to her name. That's the reason why she cannot rush out and submit herself to a proper physician who would help her with her baby. And this is why Nkechi lost her life. Another thing I will say about Nkechi, because the story says that the circumstances surrounding the death of Mrs. Nkechi remain largely a mystery to her neighbors and family, and general public is hopeful that justice, the Department of State, will leave no stone unturned. Sorry, Justice Department is not going to find anything about Nkechi. Nkechi, you're gone and gone for good. Nothing's going to happen. Let me tell Nkechi what's going to happen to her. She's going to be replaced in less than 6 months by this man, because somebody has to take care of these 3 children that he has now, and the man, this kind of person, is not going to be able to do that job. So Nkechi, you're going to be replaced very quickly, and they're not going to do anything to this man. So he's going to go scot-free. In Nigeria that I know, there is no justice here. You lose your life, you're gone. People will just cry, and that will be it. The story will be told just like it's being told now, and that's all. But I decided to bring this story because I want all the Nkechis, because I know there are so many Nkechis that are going through this kind of issues, and they're keeping quiet, keeping mute, and they think that that man is going to change, or one miracle is going to happen. There's no miracle going to happen. You better know what to do with yourself, or allow your story to be shared like this one that we're sharing now. So I think that Nkechi actually allowed herself to die, because she just submitted herself to a man who does not value her life. So women, we just need to take charge of our lives and stop allowing people to turn us into guinea pigs. And for Nkechi's story to be a mystery to her family, to her neighbors, it means that Nkechi is the one that, she's the type that is taking her matter to God all the time. She's not talking to anyone. Because this kind of thing that happened to Nkechi, what it tells me is that Nkechi is suffering, enduring so much abuse in that house, and she's mute about it. Her family doesn't know about it. Her neighbors don't know anything about it. Her friends don't know anything about it. She's just taking it to God. And that is why she just lost her life now like a chicken. Maybe if she had voiced this thing out, her parents would have known on time that this man is not the kind of man that should keep their child. Maybe Nkechi's life would have been saved. So this is just what I want to say today, that please, if you are an Nkechi, another type of Nkechi watching this video, you need to really examine your life. Sit down, because life is short. Now Nkechi is gone, left these 3 children to suffer for nothing. She just brought these 3 kids out here in the world to start their suffering, because this man obviously is an irresponsible man, the person who would do this kind of thing, you cannot imagine what's happening in that house, what Nkechi has been bearing in the hands of such a man. A man that will lock his room, pin the legs of the wife down, for a patent medicine person to start pulling out the baby to the ground. They didn't even present her with the hygienic condition to have a baby. So this kind of man is just not prepared to be a husband, not to talk of being a father. I just feel for these children that Nkechi has left behind. This is just a lesson to everyone, because this story is out there on social media right now. Unfortunately, poor girl is gone back to her maker, short life, leaving these children to fate or whatever will become of them. And Mr. Chidi, I tell you, nothing is going to happen to him. It's just so sad. you know, that this poor woman just killed herself, allow this man to end her life quickly. So this is just it. I don't know, I'm not if you have any comments, you can drop. So Adding Joyce, thank you for joining us. Just share this video so that more people can see what's happening and learn from this. But it's just so sad that Nigerian ladies prefer to end their lives, you know, in ways like this, because there's just so much to be done, you know, than to allow people to play with you like a toy, just, you know, as what has happened to our dear Nkechi. So Nkechi, rest in peace. I know you're gone. It's so sad. It's unfortunate you're not here to share this story, but I'm sharing this story on your behalf so that more people can learn from these experiences and advise themselves. We don't have to wait to die for our story to be used to advise another one. You know, life is short. Let's enjoy it and fulfill our purpose on this planet, because that's the reason why we're here. Thank you. Yeah, bye.